up, we have Broderick Johnson, the executive director, the board chair of the My Brother's Keeper Advisory Council here today, who's going to share some words with us. We're going to have Michael Smith, the executive director of the My Brother's Keeper Alliance, now as a part of the Obama Foundation. We are going to have the team at the New York State Education Department present on how successful their work has been in New York. And lastly, we're going to have Common. I don't know if you heard about Common, but Common is going to be joining us for our program today. So thank you so much. Just wait a little while. Thank you, Diane Williams, for coming in from New York. So excited to be here. Thank you so much, everybody. We're really excited to have you and really excited to be here, okay? We're going to begin, again, exactly on time. So give us 1 or 2 moments. Let's let the whole network join with us, and then we are going to start. But again, we are all really excited to have you and to bring this program to your attention. We really think it's going to be fantastic. So just a little while longer and we're going to start. But again, please continue to open up the chat, post where you're from, you know, what organization you represent, and we're all going to be collecting that data as a part of the Obama Foundation. So again, thank you so much, everybody. And we will be ready to rock and roll in a minute or two. If you haven't been briefed with the lineup, so we're going to be having the executive director of the My Brother's Keeper Alliance, Michael Smith. We'll be having our board chair of the My Brother's Keeper Advisory Council, Mr. Broderick Johnson. We're going to have a team with the New York State Education Department present on all of their work in the My Brother's Keeper movement and keeping it a linchpin and connected with the local communities. And again, we're going to have Common. I can't stress that enough. If you haven't heard, we're going to have a major influencer come in and speak with us. So again, thank you so much. We are about to begin. One moment. Yep, we are almost ready to start. And continue to chat. Yes, thank you, Mark Johnson. Yep, thank you, James Singleton from Charleston, Carolina. And we are really excited to have you all here to talk with us. And we are going to be beginning very soon. Julia from the David Lynch Foundation. That's really fantastic. Hello, Christopher. Hello, Chicago. Wow, we are so excited to have all these people tuning in from absolutely across the country to get this started. So again, thank you, and give us a little while longer and we will be starting. And we will be starting on time, exactly on time. So again, thank you so much. Give us 1 or 2 more moments. Again, if you haven't popped your popcorn yet, I don't know what you've been wasting all this time for. Go get your popcorn. We are in for a real show here today. We are getting a lot of love in this chat. Thank you, all of you, for posting your organizations, post where you're from, post your names, and you can share some of the images of your young men. We'd really love to have that. Thank you again. And we are about to begin in 3 minutes. You know, the executive director of the My Brother's Keeper Alliance, Mr. Michael Smith, is going to kick us off to get us started. But, MBK Newark is in the house. Tracy Johnson from Freeport, Illinois, and Dallas, Texas. Okay, Tracy Johnson. 2 places. Kevin Santos. Thank you, Kevin. Atlanta, Georgia is in the house. Thank you, Kay Britt. And we are going to be getting started very soon, everybody. I know you're all very eager. We're very eager to get this started. We've been working so hard. It's all done for you. We really think we've a fantastic program for all of you. So give us some time and we will be ready to start soon. So just a little while longer. We are getting a lot of love. This is a really big convening we have, everybody, and the Obama Foundation and our team here has put so much work into it. So we really think you're going to love it. Tiffany here from Education Trust New York. So great to see everybody checking in. Money Earning Mount Vernon in the house. Thank you, Money Earning Mount Vernon. It's good to see a lot of love from New York. That's what I'm talking about. Good afternoon, everybody. Here we go. We are almost ready to start. We are counting down the minutes. So again, if you haven't popped your popcorn, if you don't have your snacks, you are missing out. This is about to be movie quality performance for all of you here. And we are really, really, really ready for this to get done. So thank you so much. We have a lot of time and effort worked in here. Alex Blackwell from Charlotte, North Carolina School Counselors. William Kareem. Hi, everybody. It's Shani from Chicago. Thank you, Shani. Very much appreciated, Shani. All right. And we are ready to start soon. And again, our executive director, the executive director of the My Brother's Keeper Alliance, Mr. Michael Smith, is going to be kicking us off in just 1 minute. So this is like the ball dropping, everybody. This is a whole new year on online collaboration with this My Brother's Keeper Alliance. So again, thank you. And we are almost ready to go. Kevin Bryant, Black Family Development in Detroit. Hello from Angola. Damn, we got a real chat going. This is international, so thank you again.
Dang.
Hello from Boston. Okay. Maybe not as fun as Angola, but you know. Gary Heidi, Linwood School Board. Excited to join with Dr. B from Legacy Pathways. Okay, thank you, Dr. B, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Hey, Maximo. All right. Deb Shanley from CUNY, Anchorage, Alaska. Wow, Alaska. Thank God for the team in Alaska and all that you do. And we are about ready to start. And again, our executive director, Mr. Michael Smith, is going to be kicking us off. So it is 3:03. We are ready to join in. So, Michael, if you're ready for us.
Thank you so much, Senegal. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to our first My Brother's Keeper Alliance online town hall meeting featuring Common and the leadership of New York State My Brother's Keeper. We are so excited to see all the activity and to see everyone joining us today. I have two things to do, and then I'm going to move the show on. First, I want to welcome everybody, and please allow me to extend greetings and gratitude on behalf of the 44th President of the United States, President Barack Obama. You should all know that this work of My Brother's Keeper has remained one of his top priorities since it was launched. And it's something, as he has said time and time again, will remain a priority for the rest of his life. I know that he is thrilled to know how many devoted change makers in this country and all across the world are continuing to keep this mission alive for My Brother's Keeper. The second thing I want to do is let you know that we are sincerely committed to the idea that we do nothing about you without you. And that's why we have tried so hard to put youth leadership at the center of everything that we do. You can't be about helping boys and young men of color, advancing boys and young men of color, if boys and young men of color aren't at the center and driving the work. And while I'd like to consider myself a young man of color, the birthday candles tell me that that is going away. And so that we've been so excited to make sure that we are putting young men of color in this work at the front, including just a few months ago, our board under Chairman Johnson's leadership made the decision to keep 2 standing seats on our board reserved for young leader members, young leaders that are under the age of 24, that are working down on the ground in My Brother's Keeper communities. And we have 2 of those young members that are going to be leading this conversation today, Senegal Mabry and Malachi Hernandez. So let me get out of the way, but first I want to introduce you to our MC extraordinaire, who all of you have already had a chance to hear from. He is getting his master's in public administration at Binghamton University's College of Community and Public Affairs. He is the assistant to the chancellor of the New York State Education Department as a member of the research work group and the work group to improve outcomes for boys and young men of color. And he's been doing that for the last 3 years. He's on the directory subcommittee for the Bronx, where he hails from, for the Bronx MBK Planning Committee. He's also president of Binghamton's chapter of the New York Public Interest Research Group and sits on the statewide board. And he's a Latin American policy analyst for the Center for Education and Innovation and a journalist for the New York Amsterdam News. And then somehow he also has time to be one of my bosses, one of my board members. Please welcome the MC for today, Senegal Mabry.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Michael, for passing the torch, not getting out of the way. And you're still, young at heart at least. You're still here with us. And again, thank you so much to everybody who's joined on time for our town hall, the first inaugural My Brother's Keeper town hall meeting. It's the first in a series of larger information sharing experiences the Obama Foundation has created to ensure our network stays engaged and current. Again, my name is Senegal Mabry. I'm assistant to the chancellor of the New York State Education Department. I'm a Obama Foundation Advisory Council member, and I'm joining you today, not from New York, but from Aspen, Colorado. So let's all hope I don't, faint from the altitude. That'd be pretty bad. We have a really great lineup for you today. First, we're going to be hearing from the chair of the My Brother's Keeper Advisory Council, Mr. Broderick Johnson, in just a little while. Broderick, can you please give our audience a quick hello? Unmute and say hello, just so they can see you.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Broderick. Thank you.
Say more.
So that's Broderick Johnson. Then we're going to be hearing from the legendary lyricist and leader, Common, about his journey to musical and civic success. And the man interviewing Common is my dear friend, Mr. Malachi Hernandez. So Common and Malachi, can you both unmute and give a quick hello to the audience as well?
Hi, everybody.
That's Malachi.
Peace, everyone.
And that's Common. Then we're going to be having my home team, Mr. Regent Dr. Lester Young and Dr. Anno Alston from the New York State Education Department present on what's made their work in the New York State Education Department so successful at establishing strong community ties and finding the best practices for engaging our boys and young men of color. Dr. Alston, Regent Young, can you give us a quick hello too?
Hello, how are you? Can you hear us?
Absolutely, we can hear and see you, thank God. Before we begin, I'd just like to thank the team at the Obama Foundation, especially Cecilia Gutierrez, for conceptualizing and putting this process together. Now we as a network can continually re-engage one another and talk and connect from across the country to share our best practices and doing the best for our boys and young men of color. So please, if you have questions for any of our presenters, direct message them to me. You can change that option on the chat and just say directly to Senegal, or post them in the chat. I'll pick them up, scoop them up, and send them out to our presenters, okay? And right before we begin, I'd like to talk for a second about our platform, Zoom. You guys have been doing a really great job of chatting it up and posting your ideas, where you're from, and we're gonna be continually re-engaging that during our town hall. So please, just letting you know that I expect a lot of responses and I expect that noise to keep up. So again, thank you. Lastly, we're going to have a poll everywhere survey just so we can get to know the network more and find out what you want from this town hall. But we are ready to begin. So if all minds are clear, Mr. Broderick Johnson, can you please kick us off?
Hey, Senegal, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So when we decided that it was really important to name young brothers to the MBKA Council, we certainly saw it because it was important to get their vision, also because so much of this work fundamentally is about them. But what I really didn't quite appreciate and do now is the energy that Senegal and you'll see Malachi bring to the room. Let alone talking about my favorite snack, popcorn, so much, but wish I had some of it here. But it's great to have such young leadership as part of the work that we're doing with the MBK Advisory Council. So Senegal, thank you very much for enthusing us like you have already, and I'm sure it'll continue throughout this session. So good afternoon to everyone. Thanks for being part of this inaugural town hall. I am so thrilled that we've got such amazing participation from across the country for this town hall. And I can also say that I'm sure President Obama continues to be very grateful to each and every one of you who support MBKA, like the leaders from New York State MBK, and also our very special guest, Common, as well. Let me just say, speaking of Common, as you may have seen the social media on this, some of us had the great opportunity to go out to the Wolf Trap Center for the Performing Arts this past weekend and actually see Common and his band and his entourage perform live and in person Friday night at Wolf Trap. It was a great show. Of course, the music was outstanding. Common's message was outstanding, and so was the very, very positive spirit. It's a great way to spend a Friday evening. So let me get out of the way by saying, on behalf of the MBKA Advisory Council members, thank you to the great team and staff of MBKA and the Obama Foundation. Again, to our younger council members, Senegal and Malachi, to the great leaders from New York State, and to Common for what I'm certain will be a great session about MBKA, what's happening now, and as we look to the future. So again, thank all of you and welcome to this great town hall.
Thank you so much, Broderick, for your leadership and your ideas, and you're bringing us together as a network. And leadership is such a thing that everybody grows from your ideas and your content, and so this could not have happened without you. And so thank you so much. And now we are about to get ready from hearing from our influencer. So that means Common is about to begin, everybody. I'm going to give him a quick introduction as well as an introduction for our Malachi Hernandez, and then we're going to get rocking and rolling. So everyone thinks they know Common. One thing we're going to talk about here on this interview. He debuted in Can I Borrow a Dollar, launched Think Common Entertainment, his own record label, won Grammy Awards for his songs Love of My Life and his work on Southside. So Common's two major philanthropic endeavors include Common Ground and the Imagine Justice, both of which he founded. But let's get to know the real Common today and hear about his drives and his influences for impacting the world. The man interviewing Common is my dear friend, Malachi Hernandez. Malachi is an Obama Foundation Advisory Council member too. Malachi and I are both 20 years old. He was a part of the mayor's office, MBK Boston. So all you New England folks, give him some love out there. He's a political science student at Northeastern University. And Malachi, I know you're ready to get things started, so let's go.
Wow, thank you so much, Senegal, for that great introduction. I am so honored. I am so thrilled. I am so excited to have the ability to interview Common. I am so excited, and I cannot believe this. And I know that everybody that's watching is very, very excited as well. So I just want to ask you, Common, how are you doing today? How is your day going? How is your weekend? How are you feeling right now?
I feel blessed. Very grateful to be here. I want to thank all of you all from MBK and starting with Broderick, him and the squad came through the performance this weekend. It was great to see all those faces and meet some of the new people from MBK and just some of the fam. But Malachi, I love what you all are doing in Senegal. I mean, you all are keeping the energy up. So I'm ready, man. I'm excited now.
That's great. That's great. Now, I want to briefly ask you, we have a lot of people. We have over 1,100 people who are actually tuning in, and there's a lot of people right now. But I want to ask, for the people who may be unfamiliar with you, or for generations who have not been introduced to your body of work, how would you describe the work that you do, and what would you call yourself?
I'm an artist. And when I say artist, I fall under the category of artist as a musician, hip hop artist. And also I look at as an actor, I'm also an artist. It's all part of the art that I express. But my higher purpose in the art that I do is geared towards inspiration, is geared towards motivating people and empowering the Black community and brown community, because we are the ones who are usually overlooked and mostly overlooked. But my music and art is for everyone, but it's there to bring equality and to inspire like justice and to bring love, to be honest, to encourage love. So that's the definition if I had to give an explanation of who I am.
That's great. That's great. Now, we all know that you're a great social justice leader and advocate. So I want to also ask you, what was a pivotal experience in your work of advocacy that made you really say, this is work that I want to do for a lifetime? Because I think that a lot of times, your work is translated in just so many different fields. And I'm curious to know, what sparked that for you to really get involved in this work and say, this is something that I know that I want to do forever?
Well, Malachi, I'm going to tell you it's two moments. I'm going to tell you two moments. One moment was I was performing at a concert, and after the show, two gentlemen walked up to me, and they were two men who were gay. And they said, Common, your lyrics, we love you. We love your lyrics, but you say certain slurs that just, don't align with what what we would think you would say about homosexuality. And it made me step back and look at what I was saying and how my words affected other people, because that wasn't my intent when I was using the words. And that in itself was a turning point for me to say, man, I have to be aware and conscious of what I'm saying and how it affects people's lives. Because I'd also had a man come to me and tell me a song I did called Retrospect for Life had made him decide to have his child instead of having an abortion, him and his girl. So that was powerful for me. Those two instances made me really say, these songs matter. But I would say that the thing that heightened my activism was being a part of Selma, the movie Selma. I'd already been doing my work with Common Ground, with my foundation. I've been going to speak and show up at different panels, and I did work, you know, with Black August, which was a freedom fighting organization for political prisoners. So I've been active, but once I learned about the people of the civil rights movement and saw how much work they put in towards changing our lives and improving the situations, it heightened everything. It made me really go to work and really dedicate my life to it and try to put as much energy as I put into my art into also being a part of the change in the world.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much for your response. It definitely gives me a better understanding as to how you really got engaged and why you're here today. You know, you're still doing the work, and I know it can be very, very tiring. So I want to say thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. But in addition, I want to also ask, you know, you've been a supporter of My Brother's Keeper since Barack Obama launched it in 2014. But what is it exactly that has kept you around, and why are you still involved today?
Well, I'm involved because I see people like yourself and people like Senegal, and I also know that you all can reach some of the brothers who may not be exposed to the things that you get, to the education, to the opportunities that you all have afforded yourselves. So My Brother's Keeper is that phrase in itself, coming from the Bible, we are brother's keeper, is about like reaching out for those who may not have, and those who may not, who may be looked down upon, who may be on the streets doing stuff that we know they can do better. And it's just about, for me, I support My Brother's Keeper because I know that from our 44th president, President Obama, I know his heart is for making sure that men of color, young men of color, have the opportunities, and women of color for that matter. But I know specifically with MBK, it's about bringing young men into that realm. And I know that there's so many young men out there who need to be exposed to this. So I love what you all have been doing. I love the team itself. You know, from everybody I know from the team has been just great, and I can tell their hearts are in it. So that's why I'm down. I'm down, and I'm always gonna be down.
Well, we appreciate having you. Thank you so much. I can definitely vouch for that. The MBK team is phenomenal. Yeah. They definitely helped me tremendously. But in addition to that, I want to dig deeper into that. So talk a little bit more about your own mentors and kind of what was that like for you growing up? Who did you have, one person in particular? Did you have numerous people? And like, what are some tips and advice that you would give for people who are mentors or those who are even seeking mentors? Not it can be with MBK or otherwise. Yeah, no,
well, I think first I have to acknowledge my mother as being a really great example for me. Like, as someone who, she was a teacher, she's a retired teacher now, but she is someone who was definitely just a great example. But I would like to elaborate because I had a math teacher whose name was Mr. Brown, and he was really like, he made us be the best mathematicians we could be, but he also encouraged us to be the best human beings we could be and be like good, young, intelligent Black men and be proud of who we were as Black men. So he was a mentor just by his tactics as far as educating us, but also empowering us and encouraging us. Along with that, I was just having this conversation. There was other men in my life, like my uncle Steve and my Uncle Charles, who just set good examples. They didn't always say, this is how you do it. I just watched and seen some of the things that they did do and the way they cared for their family and the way they took care of their responsibilities and, the way they encouraged me. So those were really great examples and people that I could say some of the mentoring came like directly, like Mr. Brown was directly a teacher who was saying, hey, this is how you do it. And then some of it just came from the examples that I seen. And I would like to, say that I think part of our job is just to be examples for the younger generation, to be examples even for the people who may not, like I said, been exposed to some of the things that we've been exposed to. I don't believe in preaching to get people to the movement. I believe in leading by example, listening and embracing those and like stretching our hand to bring them in. So as well as we stretch our hand, they'll be stretching their hand towards us.
Yes, yeah, I definitely agree. And then it becomes a generational thing. So that's why it's very, very important to always look back and just be able to give forward. Now,
Yeah.
I want to talk more about your two nonprofit organizations. You know, a lot of your work in the advocacy sphere involves some form of mentorship, revitalizing communities, and re-inspiring individuals. And you have two organizations, you know, by the name of Common Ground Foundation and Imagine Justice. Can you share what has inspired you to create these organizations, and where are you with them today?
Well, Common Ground Foundation, excuse me, it started because growing up, I had a mother who really created opportunities for me. I had a mother who just gave me opportunity to get an education, was there. Some of my friends didn't have that, right? So and they didn't have, not only did they not have a mother, some of them didn't have their father around either. So I always felt for those who didn't have, I wanted to be able to do something so they could have. It started with just my friends, me seeing them and saying, man, I want to help my boy Ron. I want to help my friend Rasan just have this opportunity that that I'm afforded, but they may not be afforded because of whatever situation their family was in. That made me, like, from the core of what I was doing when I started doing music, say, how can I help now? And I started the Common Ground Foundation along with my team. It initially started in 2005, and it was really just about giving youth an opportunity that some have, you know, because of economic situation, because of the neighborhoods they grow up in, that they may not be exposed to certain things. So it was just really giving our youth a chance. It started in Chicago, and we're looking to branch, you know, we're looking to go all across the board, all across the country. But it started in Chicago, and that was the gist of it. And we've been empowering youth through creative arts, through academics, through health information, and all. Now they're doing social justice programs. So that's what the Common Ground Foundation is about: letting our youth see dreams and letting them be exposed to new things. And we do that through mentorship programs in Chicago.
Thank you. That is important, and I really appreciate that work. But I want to also ask, because with Imagine Justice, I know that you did an opportunity where you was able to go inside of the prisons and speak to people, you know, who are incarcerated. And I want to turn it now to a question from the audience. You know, we have a member who asked, what have you learned about the criminal justice system that should be informing our work? And I know that it is very important that, you know, we look at people who are incarcerated, because they are people who we need to consider. And, you know, there are bills being passed for them whether it comes to solitary confinement or other things. But what is some of the work that you've learned about prisons and your work with, you know, the two nonprofits that you do?
Okay, well, yeah, let me elaborate on Imagine Justice. Imagine Justice is specifically we started by going into the prison. It formed because we formed Imagine Justice because we were going into prisons, and we saw that the criminal justice system was just not serving people who were incarcerated. The criminal justice system was consistently targeting Black and brown people. And obviously at disproportionate numbers, we end up going to jail, which is basically breaking down our families and causing more commotion in our communities. Imagine Justice, what we initially did was in California, we went into 5 of the prisons in California, state prisons, and went in and just talked with individuals and listened. We listened and saw some of the things and heard some of the things that they really wanted to get across. And one of the most important things was that they were saying, we are human beings. We want people to know we are humans, and we want people to know we are here. And yes, some of us have committed crimes, and we've committed these crimes, and we want to serve our time and pay our time, but we also are transforming ourselves and are changing. We're in stages. I met some of the most humane people I've met in prison. And one of the things that I learned, and I can say for whomever's listening and part of this whole talk, is that a young man by the name of Chris, he said, Common, imagine being trapped in one act for the rest of your life. And it made me think about, you know, this gentleman was serving double life sentence, and he acknowledged his crime. But I thought about, like, the things and the places I've been, and just, you know, what could have happened with me? And when does forgiveness become a part of our system, our criminal justice system? When does rehabilitation become a part of it? And that's where Imagine Justice stepped in, and we have been finding the holes in our system and seeing where we can fill those holes. One place is in the state of California, we saw that juveniles getting sentenced to life without parole is just ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous because some people at that young age commit crimes that by the age of 25, they think different. And mind you, person should serve their time, but they should be afforded the chance to get better and be able to free their minds and free their souls and maybe come back to society if they've shown that transformation. Anyway, we ended up getting a few bills passed in the state of California. One was SB 394 dealing with juveniles being sentenced to life without parole. So that situation has changed. So we've done a lot of work in it, and we continue in it. And with Imagine Justice, as we learn the system and see where we can fill the holes, that's what we've been doing.
Wow, that's
Thank
powerful.
you so much, Common. That is unfortunately all the time we have, and we know that you have to go do big and better things for us in the MBK network, and you're a really shining example for all of us. And Malachi and I keep up the energy because of guys like you who give us the energy and give us the inspiration. So really, we thank you, and we know you have to go. So thank you so much. And we'll be forwarding those questions to Common's team. So keep sending them in the chat, and we'll organize it, all right? Again, thank you so much.
Peace, love.
And thank you, Malachi, for being such a great interviewer and for fielding all these questions and managing the chat. You know, really could not do it without you, and you're such a valuable part of this team. So if everybody's ready, we have to move on to our next presenters. And I am really excited, again, that I get to introduce my mentors. First, Dr. Arno Alston, a visionary educational leader, originally from Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. Dr. A, as he's called, he rose to be the superintendent of schools for the Hamilton Central School District and is now the New York State Commissioner for the Office of Access, Equity, and Community Engagement. Also with him is Regent at Large, Dr. Lester Young Jr., who with the Chancellor has been our main linchpin to the My Brother's Keeper Alliance, helping to establish strong community ties and roots and get the work done for our boys and young men of color. Today, they're going to be talking specifically about the 6 MBK grants that they've released, especially the Teacher Opportunity Corps, the My Brother's Keeper Fellows, and the Exemplary Schools Models and Practices. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here. And thank you, Senegal, for that introduction, and good afternoon to everyone. We thought it would be useful to just put the New York State MBK initiative in a context, and I'll just do a quick overview. We start with a sincere belief in the potential and possibility of each and every one of our young men. We feel that there is absolutely nothing wrong with our boys and young men of color. And we believe that if we can move from rhetoric to action with a sense of urgency and focus, if we can wrap our arms around our young men and boys of color and provide them with appropriate support systems, structures, and opportunities, that we can in fact change the prevailing narrative. We also conceive New York State My Brother's Keeper initiative as an outcome-focused statewide movement. That sounds like a lot, but what we're saying very simply is just being busy doesn't count. We're constantly asking the question, is this policy, is this strategy, is this practice, is it going to change the condition, is it going to change the current reality, and is it moving the needle for our youth regarding their outcomes? And finally, New York State MBK is not just another state grant program. We encouraged our MBK community to view these grant opportunities as seed funding to design collaborative, comprehensive, and coherent strategies that create opportunities and improve outcomes that are both systemic and sustained. Our funding opportunities are designed to do 4 particular things. 1, build strong child, family, and community connections. 2, address the disparity between the percentage of New York State students of color and the percentage of New York State teachers of color. 3, target the national MBK milestones. And finally, expand and replicate what works. What I like to do now with that as a backdrop is turn to Anel, and he'll give you an overview of what we're doing.
Thank you, Lester, and hi to everyone in the communities. One of the things that we focused on is the exemplary schools, models, and practices. That is a grant funded by the MBK program, and here we look to support specific school models and successful practices. And it works like this. A school district will apply to the New York State Education Department, identifying a model or a strategy that they're having success with and that they want to expand with another partner school. After a preliminary review of records, we go and do a site visit. Here's something we've witnessed on one of our site visits. We went to New York City and we saw a school that had medical doctors teaching students how to do an autopsy on the corpse of a pig. The student identified the traumatic injury, the location of it, assessed the critical nature in medical terms, and ultimately ascribed the cause of death. In effect, high school students were being taught a differentiated medical school curriculum. So, Lester, what do you think happened to the AP bio numbers?
Excitement,
Right.
enthusiasm.
Those numbers for students taking AP bio have gone through the roof. This school is supporting middle school students through medical school through this partnership. Another grant-funded program that we're really excited about is the MBK Fellows. We've learned through history that we need to identify, train, and equip leaders so that movements don't end when leaders transition out. We've asked each MBK community to identify 2 young men who have demonstrated leadership and inducted them in the inaugural class of MBK Fellows. We've also learned that the cultural conditioning that occurs in our society and the impact that might have on self-image for our young people. To help identify and close this gap, we did a 6-week mastermind on self, and we started looking at the self-image of our young people. And to help identify and close this gap, we started with the quote from Carter G. Woodson, back from 1933. When you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. We did a deep dive on that quote alone and spent the whole session on it. And we got to talk about what we think, what shapes our thinking, and what we think about ourselves. We did the rest of the 5 sessions on the book Mad Truth by Dr. Alfonso Wyatt. And this is a book that's gaining momentum in our communities because it helps young people own their truth as they learn and experience the truths, missteps, and misdeeds of others. And additionally, we've given the fellows mentors, and they've been charged with giving them authentic leadership opportunities and a community service project that will benefit the overall community. Finally, we're going to have an MBK Fellows Retreat in Ellenville, New York, August 28th and 29th. We're learning that the activities that we are doing with the fellows can benefit all of our MBK communities and young men. So we're looking to find ways to replicate that. So that's exciting to us. These are things we're doing in and around the school, but Lester, could you talk about some of the things that's happening outside of the school and with some of our partners?
Certainly. We began each of our statewide engagement meetings with a Voices of Our Youth session. And whether we were in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, or Rochester, or Long Island, we heard a consistent message from our young people. And it was very simply, what would their education experience have been like if they had more teachers that looked like them? That we took to heart, and out of that, we created something called the Teacher Opportunity Corps. And we're happy to say that the Teacher Opportunity Corps currently in New York State is operating in 17 universities across the state. Some of the unique features that are incorporated into this strategy are, number one, the use of mentors and other high quality support systems, both at the pre-service and in-service level. Two, it reflects, courses reflect the current research on competency-based approaches to cultural responsiveness and linguistic preparedness, youth development and restorative justice practices, as well as an emphasis on STEM concentrations at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. And three, which is really important, we've integrated a clinically rich pre-service model that includes a 10-month internship experience for each prospective teacher. And that experience also includes field hours in a local community-based organization, because we understand that good teachers not only have to know their content, they have to know how to deliver their content, but they also have to know the students they're teaching and how they learn. And that's the community part. We want them to understand the communities that they're in. The other initiative that seems to be gaining traction all across the state is the replication of the Boston Basics. We know that 80% of the brain growth occurs during the first 3 years of life. And it's this early learning that really becomes the foundation for all future learning. And so we've encouraged our local MBK communities to look at milestone 1 and to think through what are those strategies that they could use to address this whole area of birth to age 3. And they've made a decision to replicate the Boston Basics. So we're happy to announce that we now have a Harlem Basics initiative that involves the Central School District of Harlem with 2 community-based organizations. We have the Brooklyn Basics that involves East New York, Bedford-Stuyvesant, Fort Greene, Clinton Hill. We have a Yonkers Basics. We have an Ossining Basics. We have a Newburgh Basics. But the important thing is, this is an opportunity for local communities to form community-wide coalitions of organizations and individuals who are all working together to ensure that every child in that community has the fairness of an even start.
You know, Lester, as we close this section, the thing that I would just like to say, you've mentioned that we've engaged in a movement. And the difference between a moment and a movement is sacrifice. And so on behalf of the entire New York State Education Department, New York State My Brother's Keeper, we want to thank the people who have invested their time, resources, insights in ways that help move the needle for boys and young men of color. We recognize we either step forward into growth or step back into safety. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for those really kind words and those really replicable programs that we as an alliance need to be thinking about how we can do something similar from across the state, regardless of the funding, regardless of the opportunities, but the best way to engage our young men locally. So now we're going to have the executive director, everybody's favorite, Mr. Michael Smith, is going to begin on everything that the Obama Foundation and the My Brother's Keeper Alliance have been up to since they joined forces and became one entity in the same, the rightful house in which it belongs to, which is President Obama's. Michael, thank you so much. And Dr. Young and Dr. Alston, great presentation.
Senegal, thank you so much for your phenomenal emceeing. And I also just have to say how inspired I was by the incredible Common. You know, not only is he a rapper and a lyricist and a social activist, but he is one of these people that not only talks about it, but he's about it and been a part of this work and a supporter since the very, very beginning. And so I just, you know, I want to say thank you to him and his team. Also, Dr. Young and Dr. Alston and the entire New York State My Brother's Keeper team. New York State remains the only state that has not only created a statewide alliance, but funded this work at a level that it deserves. You know, we can get in rooms and we can talk about this work and we can have rallies, but at the end of the day, people have to be paid to do this work. Programs need funding to get replicated. You need wise leaders who can lift up and replicate programs. And so to Dr. Young, to Dr. Alston, New York State, and people behind the scene, to Speaker Heastie in New York, to Michael Blake, our colleague who made that happen. I just want to thank you all for the extraordinary work that you're doing. And Malachi, what a great job, really doing a great job interviewing Common, and you kept that energy alive, and thank you for asking the questions that none of us might have thought about. And I think it made for an incredible conversation. And lastly, to my friend and mentor, Broderick Johnson, who has been a part of this work of My Brother's Keeper since the very beginning. Thank you for your leadership and taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today. So I know we are eager to get to your questions, and I want you, and I've been seeing some really good questions coming in. Keep those coming, because as soon as I give you an update on what's happening here with My Brother's Keeper Alliance and what you can expect in the coming days, weeks, and months, we are going to get to your questions and have an opportunity for dialogue. So what's going on with My Brother's Keeper? I think many of you know, have been following us from the beginning, but just in case you don't, My Brother's Keeper Alliance, or My Brother's Keeper, was launched by President Obama in the White House back in February of 2014. And the idea behind it was, how do you address these persistent opportunity gaps that boys and young men of color face, and making sure that all young people can achieve their full potential. And then about a year later, the My Brother's Keeper Alliance was created by a group of private sector individuals who said, we want to scale and sustain this work because we know it's going to last far beyond what happens here at the White House. And then when we were in the final days of the administration, President Obama came to Broderick and me and said, I want to make sure that I'm continuing to lead this work going forward. You guys get together with the My Brother's Keeper Alliance team and let's figure out what needs to happen. And not too long after that, we decided to pull the work of My Brother's Keeper Alliance into the Obama Foundation so it can be under the leadership of the extraordinary human being and leader that started it, President Obama. And so for almost a year now, we've been at the Obama Foundation. And when we came over here, we had to pause. We knew we couldn't continue doing the work the way that it was done at the White House, which was largely a federal policy initiative working on issues like ban the box and chronic absenteeism and disproportionality in special education. We knew we didn't have those tools and resources to do that anymore. We knew what we were doing as an independent organization at My Brother's Keeper Alliance may not have been in it either. Some really great work around economic opportunity and opportunity fairs. So it was President Obama that really pushed us and said, you know what, we have to focus. As much as we want to go big, we really need to go deep to see if we can get to some real measurable, tangible impact that we can lift up. And so we decided to focus in two ways. The first way was pick a few places around the country where we can invest some time, some resources and energy, and see if we can lift up some models. The second way we decided that we had to focus was on a couple issue areas. And while we believe deeply in this idea of a cradle to college and career approach and our 6 life course milestones, we knew that for our small team, we had to pick a couple of those milestones that we could really dig into. And so we decided to prioritize youth violence prevention and mentoring because they really connect across all of those 6 milestones and they're urgent issues that our communities were facing. So what does that look like in practice to our strategy? Our strategy has 3 pillars. The first pillar is how do you accelerate impact in targeted communities? And the best example I can give you of that work is our My Brother's Keeper Community Challenge competition. We were a part of the team that launched the Community Challenge at the White House. You all are that network that still exists, 250 My Brother's Keeper communities in all 50 states, Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and 19 tribal nations. We wanted to give you the tools, the dollars that you needed to be successful. And we just, in May, closed our first competition. We are reading through the many, many proposals that came through. And in the fall, we are going to announce the winners of our first MBK communities. And we'll be working with our first competition, and we'll be working with about a dozen communities all across the country. So stay tuned for that announcement. What I can tell you is that we had incredible geographic representation from all across the country. We even got applications from Puerto Rico, which was wonderful to see, and tribal nations. We saw applications in all 3 of our categories: impact grants, seed grants, and Chicago seed grants. And we saw actually the most programmatic focus was dual, not just mentoring or just youth violence prevention, but the programming that was coming together. So know that we are in this. We are working with great external reviewers, and we will be announcing those winners in the fall, so very, very soon. The second strategy that we're taking forward is how do we strengthen this network of My Brother's Keeper communities and promote what works. And so you've heard, we heard from you that you want to learn from each other, that you want to connect more, that you want to know what are the tools and the resources that you can get access to. That's why we are doing this town hall today and why we'll keep doing these. But I want you to also know that while we're working deep in these My Brother's Keeper communities that are going to win our competition, we are going to continue to work hard to make sure this network is strong. And so we are going to have regional and national convenings. We are in the process right now of revamping our online tools and resources. So be on the lookout soon for new tools and resources that you can use. And we're going to have new ways that you can connect with each other. So you don't have to come through us all the time, but so that you can talk to each other and learn from each other. Even without the best tools to do that, I've been so excited to see how Boston is learning from New York, and New York is learning from Oakland, and Oakland is learning from Houston. You all are knowing each other and meeting each other, and you are carrying this work forward. And just know we're going to have your back to make that even stronger. And then the third bucket of our work is how can we continue to mobilize citizens and resources to advance this great, not only My Brother's Keeper work, but the Boys and Young Men of Color field. And so we're going to work with individuals, with corporations, with foundations to support the work of MBK communities on the ground, but also to figure out what are things that anybody can do to make a difference for our boys and young men of color. Mentoring is always going to be a big part of our strategy. We know that it's something that works to build social capital and to help our young men really navigate treacherous systemic barriers that they're facing every day. And so one example of that is our We Are the Ones campaign that we launched actually back around Christmas with Steph Curry and Chance the Rapper and President Obama. And so be on the lookout soon. We're going to be revamping some of those materials and actually making it easier for you to use them to support your work. And then next year, you'll see even more really exciting tools to help drive the work of growing our mentors. So those are three buckets of our work. Know that we are growing. You've probably seen many new faces on our team. We are happy to see many new faces on our team because we can go home a little earlier and get more sleep. But we've just added some incredible talent, folks that have been on the ground leading this work. Cecilia, who's leading our network and partnerships team, was running the Miami Children's Initiative and has worked with Breakthrough Collaborative and nonprofits all around the world. Cyrus Garrett, who's coming in with Burnell and Jaime to lead our communities work, was just running My Brother's Keeper's effort in New York, which is called the New York Young Men's Initiative, which actually inspired our community challenge and has a great background in working with youth and communities. Jaime Guzman, who has worked in education nonprofits and worked for the Taproot Foundation and large and local initiatives all across the country and in Chicago, is leading our Chicago Youth Opportunity Programs and driving the work in our home city of Chicago. So I just want you to know we are bringing the best talent together. We are building an all-star team. It's not going to be just about one player, but it's going to be about a team that's going to help you win. So be on the lookout for us being closer, being more connected, and doing more to support your work. So I just want to pause there. I want to thank you again for all that you do. Without pomp, without circumstance, without fanfare, with not enough money, with not enough resources, all of you are taking this mission of My Brother's Keeper seriously. The idea that our neighbor's kid has to be our kid, not only because it's a heart thing that we have to do, because what President Obama says, it's a head thing we have to do. If America is going to be successful, our young men of color have to be successful, and you're making that difference. So thank you again for all of your work. I was glad I could provide you that update today. I am now going to turn it back over to Senegal, who is going to lead you in an exercise to get a conversation going.
We actually thank you, Michael, so much for your leadership. Michael and the team at the Obama Foundation has been so strategic about what they want to put in place to change outcomes for our boys and young men of color. And their leadership is still something we at the local levels look to, and we are always going to look to the Obama Foundation because it's his home and it's his ideas and network that we've joined onto to try and change the communities that we live in. So again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for shouting out the team at the Obama Foundation because they do really fantastic work. And we do have time for questions. So I've been grabbing some of the questions you all have been sending in. We don't have much time because I want to go through the poll everywhere section. But for Regent Dr. Lester Young and for Dr. Anna Alston, can you please quickly describe the process of MBK being integrated at the state level? Thank you. Gentlemen?
I'm sorry. Essentially, what we did is we convened two things: a statewide Blue Ribbon Committee, which consisted of individuals, practitioners on the ground, community-based organization representatives, parents, elected officials, and then we had some researchers and experts, people who have studied this, looked at it, written about it. And the Blue Ribbon Committee then held a series of strategic meetings around New York State to hear from the various regions what, number one, what is happening with boys and young men of color in those regions, and number two, to establish a set of recommendations that would result in a statewide strategy. So together with conducting the statewide meetings and also having the Blue Ribbon Committee, we were able to advance a series of recommendations to the full Board of Regents, which then was adopted by the New York State Legislature, that then got advanced to the governor, and fortunately we were included in the state budget. So at the heart, what we attempted to do at the very beginning was include all of the important stakeholders in the process. We tried to equalize the knowledge base. We wanted to make sure that everyone understood clearly what was going on with boys and young men of color in New York State. And then number two, what were the successes? What does the research tell us? What does experience tell us? What works? What has worked? And then how do we replicate that here in our state?
Wow, that's really fantastic. Thank you so much. And I think that's a very replicatable system, or something that people can try to implement from wherever it is that they're going, to try and figure out how they can set strong roots for an MBK community in their home location. For Michael, 1 minute question, all right? How can the people who are tuning in on this town hall get involved further in My Brother's Keeper activities?
Senegal, thanks so much for that question. I would encourage you to do a couple quick things. One, go to our website, obama.org/MBKA, as in My Brother's Keeper Alliance. Sign up to get our updates. And then if you go to our website, you'll also see a section that says Get Involved, which will take you to our IMMBK website, and it'll give you lots of different ideas on ways that you can get involved. The other thing that I would tell you to do is there are these 250 My Brother's Keeper communities all across the state, all across the country. And the best thing for you to do is figure out how can you get behind that effort. Not all of them are as strong as New York State. Not all of them have all the people and all the resources that they need. So go to our website and you can find where an MBK community is near you and reach out to them and find out ways that you can support their strategies. And if you're in a My Brother's Keeper or in a community and you can't find one, think about ways that you can start doing this work on in your community. And again, on our resource page, there's some tips on how to get this work going. So go to our website. Everything is there that you need to know, obama.org/MBKA. Join us, follow us, and we'll share ideas, but also figure out how you can work in your community.
Thank you so much, Michael, and Regent Dr. Lester Young and Dr. Anna Alston. That was a really fantastic programming, and thank you for being receptive to audience questions. And now we want to ask the audience some questions and get as much feedback from you all as we can and learn about the network so that we can make these town halls so much better for all of you. We want to know who you want to hear from, how we can best engage the network, how often you want to tune in from these. I know I'm very loud. You probably don't want to hear it very often. You can't, Your ears need to heal after this. So I just posted the link for our poll everywhere for the MBK. And now in front of me, you can see the interactive live poll. So I'd like you to go click that link. If you haven't clicked that link yet, again, it's in the chat, or you can type in polleverywhere.com/MBKA Teams 520, or text MBKA Teams 520 to 22333. Again, you can click Poll Ev. You can go click that link down there in the chat, and we want to get started on hearing as much as we can from the network. So again, please click that link right there. I'm going to click it right now too, so I can vote along with you.
Scroll down. Can you scroll down?
Okay.
There we go.
So how would you rate this town hall is our first question. You should be seeing it on the live stream. So we got a lot of excellence, we got a lot of very goods, and we got a lot of goods. So thank you so much. Wait a couple more seconds for the network to, finish voting. And again, this is happening in live time. So all of you who are joining in right now are voting with us. So you can see our votes right now happening in front of us. It's a really fantastic tool, Poll Everywhere. So you can see those. Please vote right now. I'm going to vote this town hall was excellent. Thank you very much.
It's gonna open.
All right, let's give people another 30 seconds to get those responses in. We'll give them a little
and then we want to transition. So I'm gonna post that link one more time if you don't got it. So you can vote on the next question. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next question.
All right.
How likely are you to attend a future MBK town hall? Very likely, likely, unlikely, D, very unlikely. So
tell us again how to do this. What if I'm not following along? How do I use this tool? Tell us again.
If you are not following along, again, click the link that I keep reposting in the chat and continue to vote. So all you need to do is go to polleverywhere.com and then live vote with us. So you need to go on the website, click the link. It's going to open up a whole new window and just vote. Just click right there. Very likely, likely, unlikely for how likely you are to attend a future MBK town hall meeting. Is the network getting me? Please message yes in the chat if you're online with us. Okay? So now we're going to move on to who do you want to hear from in the future town hall? This one's really cool. So you just need to just type who you want to hear from. Sidney Portier is my first choice, everybody. Oprah, okay. So please type who you want to. President Obama, Davis, Washington, okay. Angela Davis, Nas, Denzel. All right, this is great. Keep posting, everybody.
If I can't use the Poll Everywhere on my computer, how do I use my mobile phone?
Oh, so all you need to do, thank you, Michael, for the teamwork right here. All you need to do is text MBK 520 to 222333, okay? All you need to do is text MBK 520 to 222333, okay? So we're getting a lot of responses. Oh, and we're getting a lot of responses in the chat too. So great. What topics do you want us to discuss? Houston, okay, that's a topic. Obama, that's a topic, I guess. John's equity, health, equity literacy, engagement. Wow, these are really great. Mentorships, schools, criminal justice, social activism, Midwest engagement. And we are all keeping this, and we're going to use this to frame our discussions and our movements forward as the Obama Foundation. You are giving us a lot of great topics. This is a lot of stuff for us. It's a lot of health, a lot of justice, a lot of equity. So literacy, mentorship, involvement, John's engagement. So thank you so much. We're going to head to another question right now. I think we got a lot of them. And if you can post inside the chat any of the extra ones as we move on, okay? So we are going to move on. Give us 1 second. How frequently should we host these town hall meetings? A, quarterly. B, every other month. C, monthly. Okay, sounds good. Quarterly town hall meetings would be very nice. Yep, keep posting in there if you haven't. And again, you can click this link here on polleverywhere.com to continue voting. And we want to hear as much from you as we possibly can. But I also want to let you go on time. So please let us go. This is our last question. And then we're going to summary up and thank you all for coming, okay? So a couple more seconds. I'm going to give you a couple more seconds. Seems like quarterly is taking the day, though. A lot of it. Accessing data from K-12. We're also still, please post your responses in the chat if Poll Everywhere has locked you out, or text MBK 520 to 222333. All right, and we are good. So thank you so much. Thank you again for joining us for the inaugural My Brother's Keeper Town Hall meeting. We really cannot have these without you, our larger network that supports us and engages with us and does the work on the ground level with the Obama Foundation, with your local My Brother's Keeper chapter. So again, we really thank you so much. This has been a really fantastic experience, and we hope to have more of these, and we really are going to use your feedback to try and change the way we do these and improve them. So again, thank you so much. It has been a really fantastic inaugural town hall. Thank you to the team at the Obama Foundation. Thank you to Common and his team. Thank you to Regent Dr. Lester Young and Dr. Anna Alston. Thank you to Michael Smith for presenting with us. And we really think we had a great time doing this. So again, thank you, everyone. Great job. Thank you for coming out. And thank you so much for all the love you're showing us in the chat. We really appreciate it. It really helps us go.
Thanks, Senegal. Thanks so much.
Thank
everybody.
you. Great job.
We're gonna keep that history and look at getting back to some of those other questions. Thanks so much, everybody.
More
Great. Thank you guys so much.
New York State Education Department website under MBK.
Yeah.
Yes. Give me 1 second. I'm going to post that for you right now.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
And there's the link for signing up for the New York State Education Department MBK newsletter in there. And then there's the New York State MBK website. Okay, everybody? And again, thank you so much for tuning in with us, okay?
Thanks for keeping us on time, Senegal.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Alvita saying I do, I do to you and you and you. Thank you so much for coming.
He's getting punch drunk.
Yeah. Colorado.